Hey, welcome back to Garcon. Today we're going to continue doing my NFL predictions. Today we are starting off with the Houston Texans. The Texans, this white thing at the bottom is going to go away. We all know the big news that happened, right? They sent DeAndre Hopkins over to the Cardinals. Is it ever going to go away? For David Johnson. There we go. I mean, it's been talked about 1,000 times that was really one of the worst trades y'all can do. But we have to talk about them. Their wide receiver unit, I mean, their whole offense took a huge hit. They took their main wide receiver and shipped him off to the Cardinals for another running back. That still astonishes me. Stupid Bill O'Brien. Ugh. I'm sorry. So right now, I mean, his only weapons really are, I mean, his main targets right now are going to be like Will Fuller. And really, that's not anything to be completely surprised about. Not surprised, but like complete. You shouldn't be happy about having Will Fuller as your main target. And he's got Darren Fells on there too as a tight end. But other than that, they are still a solid team. Their front seven is absolutely spectacular. I mean, they've got J.J. Watt on there, who again he's not as good as he once was, and he's a bit overrated. But he is still a solid defensive lineman. And also they've got Zach Cunningham on that linebacker unit. Zach Cunningham, I haven't heard him being talked about at all. But you look at his stats. His stats are very good. So that defense is pretty solid, and their secondary is pretty just average, which isn't too bad. So I feel like this year, if they just hadn't got rid of DeAndre Hopkins, they could be Super Bowl contending. You saw how well they played last year, but nope. They got rid of DeAndre Hopkins, and now they're probably going to make the playoffs. But also, you see this tough schedule. I mean, they've got the Chiefs, they've got the Ravens, they've got the Patriots, the Vikings. They've got pretty tough games. Of course, it's not the hardest. They play Jaguars twice. They play the Bengals, the Colts. Of course, the Colts aren't that bad, but we'll talk about it. In Week 1 against the Chiefs, this is going to be a revenge game. They got knocked out of the playoffs last year after being up 24-0 to the Chiefs, and it is in the same stadium. Now in Week 1, they get to go back to Kansas City. Is this Thursday night? This might be the first game of the season. It is going to be the first game of the season. So the first game of the entire season, we've got the Texans against the Chiefs. And I'm sorry, but if they had DeAndre Hopkins, this would be a very interesting game because, again, it's the same matchup as last year. But they lost DeAndre Hopkins, which really brings down their offense and pushes the Chiefs over the top, in my opinion. But who knows? If, like, Will Fuller, Darren Fells, one of them steps up and, takes over for DeAndre Hopkins, then the Texans could very easily win this game. We'll see that when I do best case, worst case scenario. And then in Week 2 against the Ravens, I feel like the Ravens... the Texans could definitely, this will be a pretty close game, but I just don't see the Texans beating the Ravens. Even with DeAndre Hopkins, this would be a hard game. But I still feel like the Ravens win no matter what. They're just a better team. And then Week 3 up against the Steelers. They're 0-2, but they're better than 0-2. Week 3 against the Steelers. I think it shows here they get the win. The Steelers, Big Ben, they've got good weapons. They're better than I like to say that they are. And I'm not even a fan of any other team in the AFC North. But I just feel like the Texans, they do have a solid defense, and I feel like with the broken old man that is Big Ben right now, I feel like the Texans can take advantage of that and win. And then they've got a tough 4 first games. They go into Minnesota, and I feel like these two are pretty much on the same level. They're both very good. They both got rid of a wide receiver, of course. Stephon Diggs wasn't as huge of a player on the Vikings as Hopkins was on the Texans. I gotta stop talking about that. It's not that big of a thing. Anyways, so this is a very evenly matched game. Um, really, this could go either way because the Vikings, they have a pretty solid offense and they have a great defense. Same thing with the Texans, but I just feel like the Vikings. I mean, they've still got Rudolph on there. They've still got they do have some pretty good wide receivers. I'm gonna have to hand this one over to Minnesota. So they start off 1-3, but I think they come back strong and they beat Jacksonville. I don't think there's any way that doesn't happen. And then they get a very, very good divisional game here against Tennessee, and I think I just feel like the Tennessee. I mean, you saw them beat the Ravens, and that does not mean that they're better than the Ravens at all. I'm gonna have them splitting actually with the Texans. So just know that in Week 17, the Texans are getting the win here. But dang, this schedule though, they've got. Look, I didn't even realize they played the Packers. This is tough. But I think they go to the Packers. Their defense shows, and I think they get the win here. Things are starting to look up because, wow, Green Bay, they have, like I've said before, they have weapons. Aaron Rodgers is still good. So these two are pretty evenly matched, and I feel like Houston can just get the win. All right. And then they have their bye week, so they're 3-4. They go into their bye week. They're like, all right, we have a pretty easy game in Week 9. They've got the perfect bye week. Week 8 is the perfect bye week. They can definitely turn things around after this, especially when you see how much easier their second half is. They get to play Jacksonville. They get to play Detroit, the Colts, the Chicago Bears, Colts twice. I mean, look at this. And we already know they're winning in Week 17, so they definitely could turn things around and go 10-6 or something. And it shows here when they beat Jacksonville and they go back to .500. Everything is good. They're still in the playoff race. They're still a very good team. And then in Week 10 against Cleveland, I'm going to say they get their second dub in a row here. Third W in a row against Cleveland. I know a big problem last year was the fact that they had terrible play calling, but they got rid of Kitchens. So they should do better, but again, you saw it was still the talent doing pretty badly. But they have the talent there to do better. But I'm not gonna say that they explode onto the scene. I'm gonna say I think that the talent will probably play as well as they did last year, maybe a little better. So the Cleveland will get a little better, but I don't think they're good enough to bleed. Wow, Houston, and then in Week 11, another very, very tough game. Cam Newton on that offense. He doesn't have any weapons really, but still, the fact that Cam Newton went to New England is insane. Still. And they do have one of the best defenses, so I'm going to have to give this one to New England. I feel like this could be close. This could go either way, but I feel like Cam Newton, I feel like they do have Sony Michel and James White as running backs. So I feel like that they can get past this defense and they can stuff Houston, and it'll be a pretty low-scoring game, but it will eventually. I feel like the Patriots will win here. And then in Week 12, up against the Lions, this is another one I don't see them losing. I mean, there we go. The Lions are just, I mean, they've got Matt Stafford, and really that's it. They're just a pretty meh team. If they do come strong and they do become, if they play a lot better than expectation, I could. What? Excuse me while I get back to my predictions. Give me like 10 seconds, guys. I'll see you guys in a second. Said stop recording. You gonna stop recording? And we're back. Okay. So in Week 13, they go up against the Colts. They've gone up until Week 13, and they still haven't played the Colts, even though they're in the division. That's pretty interesting to me. And I feel like they're at home. It's a divisional rival game, and I feel like I don't think Phillip Rivers. He's old, but he's still pretty good. And I feel like this could go either way. But I feel like Houston's defense is much better than the Colts' defense, and that shows here whenever they get the win. Really a no-brainer in Week 14. Again, ignore Week 18. That's the playoffs. In week 14, they go up against the Chicago Bears. And the Chicago Bears are kind of in the same position that the Dolphins were in last year. They've got two backup quarterbacks really getting ready to fight for the starting job. I feel like Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles are both pretty good backups, but I don't think that they're good enough to really start a team. So the Bears, they're in a pretty bad situation. I think they should have either got Brady. I think they should have gone after Newton. But you see, they've turned their season around. They've gone from 1-3 to 8-5. They're doing pretty good. Their second half of the season is looking up, and I think in week 15, I think I'm gonna have them splitting with the Colts. I feel like the Colts are good enough that they can at least win at home against the Houstons. Wow, the Texans. And then this sucks. Oh, this is why I always do like this. And then in week 16, Joe Burrow at this point will be they will be a formidable foe to fight. I don't know if they will be throwing games at this point, but I'm just going to say that they aren't. But either way, I feel like Houston gets the dub here. Really, you look at them both. Cincinnati, they've got a solid offense, and they're prepared for the future. But their defense, I don't think, is good enough to really stop the Texans. Excuse me. Sorry about that. And in week 17, we already know what happens. I'm going to have them splitting. So they still go 10-6. All right. So 10-6, even without DeAndre Hopkins. All right. So now we're going to do worst case scenario. And this is their offense falls apart with the absence of DeAndre Hopkins. And, things just go wrong. It's not only DeAndre Hopkins leaving. Maybe David Johnson doesn't play as well. Will Fuller doesn't do well as wide receiver 1 or whoever is. They just completely collapse. I don't feel like any of this changes. Oh, yeah, they lose to Green Bay. They lose to Cleveland. And they lose to Cincinnati. They get swept by Tennessee. And, yeah, that's about all I can see happening. This is their worst possible, absolute worst record that I think that they could come up with is 6-10. I don't think there's any way they go 0-16, 1-15, 2-14, 3-13, 4-12, 5-11. None of that is even remotely possible. But I feel like that they could possibly end up going 6-10. I don't think that's likely, but I think it is a possibility. Of course, anything's a possibility. All right, and then their best possible. This is they embrace the fact that David Johnson takes off and becomes a Christian McCaffrey-like player. He becomes one of the best running backs in the game. Will Fuller starts playing even better than DeAndre Hopkins. The Darren Fell takes over perfectly in that tight end position, and I feel like they could get revenge on Kansas City here. They could beat Minnesota. I don't think they could sweep Tennessee. They could definitely win here. So that's about as good as I can see. Actually, that could happen. 14-2 is as high as I'm willing to put them. They take off. Okay, I don't think there's any way they go 15-1 or 16-0. But I think from 6-10 to 14-2 is the range that I am willing to say that they go. All right. Who did that? Where were their other losses? Oh yeah, here and here. Yep. Back to 10-6. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. I'm still looking for a banner for my YouTube channel. I don't care if it's like a piece of paper that you drew on. Actually, I probably wouldn't have put that up there. If it looks like something that at least someone who's 7-year-old could make on a computer, then I will probably put it up there. I'll shout you out. You can go to playoffpredictors.com and do your own predictions, and you can use permalink up here, and you can either send it to me. You can put the link in my comment section. You can take a picture of this and put it on Instagram and tag me in it. You can send me the link via Instagram. You can also just tweet at me at my Twitter, or post the link and tag me in it or something. I don't know. All the links for that in the description. I'm trying to start a podcast, make the Beancast an actual podcast. I've got the link to that Patreon in the description. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. More content is coming. Go ahead and subscribe, like the video. And again, thank you so much for watching. I really am happy that you stopped by with me today.